Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We'll get to the JRC here in a moment, but first the disclaimers. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, pertinent links are going to be right there in the description box, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, the article written by Neuroclastic, over which the JRC threatened them with a defamation lawsuit. They did not take it off the website. The article in particular, where Neuroclastic surveyed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. They, of course, did not remove the article, so please read it and share it on all your social media. We have Neuroclastic's link for their GoFundMe we set up for them in there as well, in case the JRC ever does see through with their threat, because unlike them, we unfortunately do not have access to unlimited streams of money. I'll be with you all in just a moment. Sorry, folks, I don't have an edit button. Well, I do, I just don't know how to use it, so sorry about the interruption. Let me get back to where we're here. Trigger warnings. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you do got young children present, go ahead and utilize the headphones. Also, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We do use profanity and speak on dark subjects. If your child 16 and younger and watching this, parental supervision is very much advised. Get ready for more gaslighting, folks, because it's what the JRC is known for. I shall dissect it with my usual flawless logic. Alright. In addition, strikingly absent from the proposed ban is any mention of the rigorous mandatory controls that are already in place to ensure no patient is treated with ESDs unless all other options have failed and ESD treatment is deemed effective and necessary for that particular patient. So y'all just get away with making up bullshit and the federal government pretends they don't see it? Seriously, JRC? That's a lie. Even better, you all know it's a lie. So let's first talk about controls, shall we? What are those rigorous controls, JRC? Tell me, can you show us concrete evidence in regards that they literally have tried all the other treatments? Can you tell me that they had positive behavioral reinforcement tried? Not positive supports. Not some vague umbrella term that you use to confuse the rest of the folks out there in the real world. Positive behavioral reinforcement. Was it tried? Yes or no? Person-centered planning. A particular model based on having the person who's actually the patient in full control of the overall treatment and education and other programs. Yes or no? How about one of the myriads of different plans Those two in particular are the ones I am familiar with most outside of regular ABA. Because you're lying, JRC. What you mean when you tell us that they tried everything is that child has been the victim of what I like to call kicking the can down the road. What kicking the can down the road is, folks, is when you're dealing with a school district who is completely lost at exactly what it is that they're dealing with. So, instead of a sane school, or hell, even a school as backwards and well underneath the GOP hellscape politician's thumb out here in southwest Missouri, the way that that was handled was my aunt and my mother were referred to Burl. I had an appointment with a neurologist that then scheduled further testing. And the whole panel that was a part of said diagnosis included a pediatric neurologist, a psychiatrist, and a psychologist. Okay? I was then diagnosed. The Burl team that diagnosed me then referred me to the Southwest Regional Office. Now, what that actually is the Southwest Regional Office for the Missouri Department of Mental Health, Division of Developmental Disabilities. And in that appointment, with said medical team there as well, a social worker and a case manager, we then had me undergo the full functional behavioral assessment. Okay? After the assessment was completed, we then began to discuss what would be best in regards to my overall education and treatment, as well as transition services programs, because I was diagnosed late at the age of 18, right towards the edge of getting to graduate high school. Now, having read the accounts of multiple parents in regards to their experiences with the JRC, we have a pretty good picture in regards to what is actually happening in those situations. Many moms have been interviewed. All of them, literally all of them, not only were able to confirm that no full functional behavioral assessment was ever conducted for their child, but that they didn't even know that the full functional behavioral assessment is something that existed. This is a point that the FDA brought up in a crystal clear manner, both in the proposed ban and in the 2020 final ban. To this date, and I've been doing this near 20 years now, the JRC has never asked, well, I should say never answered a single question in regards to the full functional behavioral assessment being done first. So what the JRC really means by having tried everything is these school districts who often are overloaded and don't have the time to actually fully vet these residential school programs will kick the can down the road and refer a parent to one of those schools. Without a full functional behavioral assessment there to act as a guide and give assistance in choosing the best type of intervention and treatment program, not only are you giving the parents no tools, you're giving the school that the kid's being sent to no tools either. Point blank, they have no idea what's going on. They don't know what are the exact issues that the kids are dealing with. They know nothing about any triggers even being so much as discussed. They don't know what the difficulties are going to be. And folks, quite frankly, not every residential program is going to be able to serve 100% of neurodivergent folk or folk with behavioral issues. This should make logical, coherent sense, but since we're talking about the JRC, unfortunately, we just can't count on that from them. Right? So what happens when you are sending a kid and a parent in blind to a school who also ends up going into it blind, and things don't work? The way that school's specific program is set up is not meeting the child's needs. So what happens? The school tells the parents to take the kid somewhere else. And then the cycle rinses and repeats itself, with nobody willing to stop the cycle by going to the parent and saying, hey, this is really not working. What we need to do is get a full functional behavioral assessment done so that we can have all pertinent information at our fingertips when we're looking at these different options in regards to residential schools, so that we can make sure that the one that the kid will ultimately get sent to is going to be the one that is most likely going to be best able to address their very specific needs and service supports. Right? But nobody does that. So the kid keeps getting kicked from school to school to school. Sometimes with a psychiatric stay in between getting kicked from school to school. That is the kick the can down the road form of, you get what I'm saying, right? Okay, good. Now, JRC, I know it's difficult for you, but just hear me out on this. In that particular situation, in regards to those schools, put in an ear horn from the 19th century, please. Okay? Please do that for me. Doing that is not doing and trying everything else. Schools do not equal necessarily different treatment programs. Okay? Like schools now, different ones have different specialties, different experts that specialize in very specific things. So it doesn't matter how high a school is rated. It doesn't matter how many letters behind the name of the person that's running the school. It doesn't matter if they come from one of the most wealthiest areas on planet Earth. None of that matters. Because you're going in blind. And then you keep going in blind over and over and over again, and nobody's doing anything different. That is not trying everything, that's trying the same thing over and over and over again. There is a difference. Trying everything would be getting that full functional behavioral assessment finally done. Having the circle of support that has been built up around doctors, case managers, social workers, direct care staff if necessary, in a room together with the person who is leading the treatment program, going through all the information together, and then taking a look at a few school options that seem like they might best meet the needs that are being brought to attention by said full functional behavioral assessment. And by doing so, using that to send them to the school that sounds like it's going to be the best in regards to that specific patient. Now that, JRC, is the beginning of trying everything. Now, if after that full functional behavioral assessment is done, and that assessment is shared between parents and the schools, and then they're still getting kicked out and still getting passed around like a hot potato, then I'll be willing to have a conversation with you in regards to all other treatment programs and plans being tried. Until that day, you're lying out your ass, JRC. Going from school to school to school is not trying different treatment programs. It's trying different schools. Yes, there is a massive difference between the two. Please stop insulting everyone's intelligence, all right? It's obnoxious and it's old. And speaking of mandated controls, what are those mandated controls, JRC? Well, that they tried everything. No, that's a vague word salad explanation that you try to infer whatever you want it to mean. I want something different from you. Okay? I want, on a piece of paper, right in the old black and white, a list from you of what mandated controls you set in place that shows that every single other option that exists on planet Earth has been tried and it won't work for the patient. No word salads, no saying that we do it, because I'm sorry, but being a logical, analytical person, I'm not a part of the crowd that accepts "just trust me, bro" as a source. Put it in the black and white, or you're lying. Okay? Because if you really did have those very strenuous mandated controls that you insist that you have, you should be able to produce a list of what those controls are and should be able to adequately explain them to us. You have done neither. Or as I would like to say, are those mandated controls that you use to determine that everything else has been tried and failed in the room with us? Is it perhaps in that magical mystery land where another person's so-called mountains of evidence has also been misplaced? Perhaps it's in the same magical land where so many pairs of socks have died, with one sock going missing and going off into the ether. No, you did not confirm that they have tried everything. You have told us that you have mandated controls that prove this, but have provided bupkis in regards to evidence to back up that claim. Okay? For the love of God, spare me the bullshit. Going from school to school does not equal going from treatment program to treatment program. There are some schools out there, more's the pity, that are cookie-cutter residential schools. Okay? There are also ones like Rivendell out here that have specializations that help in specific areas of the population that have particular needs. Okay? There was no full functional behavioral assessment done. We are not provided with any evidence in regards to your so-called mandatory controls to determine why nothing else will work. You're talking out your ass and then arrogantly appealing to your own authority, and then, thump your chest at us like you've done something. Yeah. Looks like this is going to be one of those where I have to go sentence by sentence again. So, I'm going to go ahead and cut off here, folks, for now. We don't get very many views on this channel. And the few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So if you could, please, folks, don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Please don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time, and as always, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll be seeing y'all again here in just a few minutes. Goodbye, everyone.